Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation. If you've ever wanted happier, more resilient children, then do we have the Brainious show for you. Today I'll be talking with Stephanie Brillant, French filmmaker, mother of two, senior reporter and TV host, and the creator of a fascinating documentary, Brainious. And that's just what I want to talk with her about today, about how we can help our kids grow their minds and become healthier, happier, and more resilient. That, plus we'll talk about heads and shoulders, knees and toes, the dark and monsters, brains and bees, the power of the breath, the importance of Play-Doh, what on earth is a hyperbola, and what in the world a Biomatic 2000 has to do with anything. So welcome to the show, Stephanie. Are you ready to shine?
I was born to shine, Michael.
Woohoo! And since we're talking born to shine, I mentioned it to my first guest yesterday. We just found out yesterday, and so we had booked this well before we knew this, that my wife is pregnant.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So this documentary took on even more meaning to it.
It's going to save the life of your child. He's going to be able to thrive. That's good.
Awesome, awesome. So before we dive into that, what was your childhood like and where did you grow up?
I was born in Paris, and my mother was a single mother. I grew up with my family, my grandparents, uncles. It was a very nice family, very noisy family. And when I was probably 3 years old, my mother met a man who became my stepfather. And we went to Annecy, a city that you know, between the lake and the mountains in the French house. It was a great place, to grow up.
A great place to be a child. What were the earliest imprinting that you can recall?
I'm talking about that in the film, but I do remember at a very young age, people were telling me all the time that I was clever and that I was able to achieve great goals. I was happy with it because I was feeling empowered. But actually, it was not such a blessing. And I discovered that later. I'm sure that we're going to talk about that. But the fact was that actually I didn't want to embrace too many challenges because I was too afraid of failure.
And it's something that we've been taught, and you talk about it in the film in particular about the French, but it's something that we're also taught here in the States, is that you must get things right. If you get things wrong, you're doing something wrong.
Exactly. So you have to just catch it immediately. Yeah. And it's a lot of pressure, too much pressure.
So how did you end up getting into film and TV?
It was a dream. So when and the thing is, I do have that type of brain. I'm connecting dots. So I'm always very interested in many, many topics. But my real thing is getting an idea here and another one here and just helping people to understand it. I'm a seeker. I'm always seeking for things. And I do know that a lot of people don't have time to do that. So this is my job, to seek and after to tell you that, okay, look, how interesting is that? And you won't waste time at looking at what you exactly need. I'm doing it for you. So it was in my DNA, definitely. I feel like I was a journalist when I was born.
I love it. Did you expect at any point that you would be making a documentary about this topic, or did your two kids come into play with this?
I think that's funny because when you see things and you think about it, you just realize that this is a big puzzle. For example, I do have notebooks all the time, like this. I have plenty of them. And last time I was reading one of my notebooks. It was probably one from 2008, something like that. And I looked at it and I've seen the name of Dan Siegel, who is in my film, actually. So at the time, I don't know why, but I wrote his name somewhere. So I feel like this film is kind of, it was meant to be. And I was always interested in psychology, human potential. One of my hero is Carl Jung. And so I've always been, in this kind of topics. And as a journalist, also, I was seeking for positive story that can help people to be empowered or to have inspiration. Or so this film came, of course, because I'm a mother of two, and I thought that it's so important to try your best to be a good parent, but also because I feel like so many adults are disconnected from what they really are. It's too sad to see how they're not in a life they're happy with. And I thought that, okay, if you do understand better what is happening as a child in your brain, you're going to be able to release your potential, your full potential as an adult.
Beautiful. And so let's go from there. Let's dive deep into this. You mentioned the word disconnected, which is fascinating, and it gets into really the crux of things in the start of your documentary. Do we have one brain or two, and are they connected properly?
Yes, the brain is a real network. You have to think it this way. That's why in my film, I didn't want to focus on something, because actually relationship will have an impact on the way you succeed at school. The fact that you are playing an instrument is going to help you to do good at math. Everything is connected. The fact that you get bored is very important to have real value and think about what you really want to do with your life. So it's not one or two brains, it's a full big brain and many parts working together.
Beautiful. So let's go from there and let's talk about Alan Shure, left brain, right brain. What's going on here?
Oh, the thing is, a lot of scientists say also that there is no such thing. But the idea is understanding that we do have a more emotional part. And at the very beginning, when a child is only 2, 3, 5, 6, this emotional system is bigger than anything else. And at that time, the higher brain, the PCF, is not ready yet to think, to count down. So when a child is having a tantrum, instead of thinking that, wow, we have to count him down, and he has to get his PCF back, his prefrontal cortex, we should think that, okay, it's just an emotional state that's perfectly normal because he's not or she is not ready yet to really think and to count down. So that's why we're talking about right and left brain, but the real thing is lower and higher brain. And we have to realize that the highest part of the brain is still building until late 20s. So you are becoming a real adult when you are turning 30 years old, not before that. So when you are getting crazy as a teenager, okay, let's say your brain is not completely finished yet. So that's one of the reasons.
I love it. And so if we go, and it means that in a sense, we're all still kids. So I'm loving this.
Yes. Are you less than 30?
It also means we are forever now.
Yes. And your brain can still change. This is a good part.
Yeah, we've had one of my favorite guests, and a dear friend, Dr. Michael Merzenich, on the show, father of brain plasticity. And if we ever ask him, is your brain become rigid at any age? His favorite line is, Michael, nothing could be further from the truth. Our brains are plastic at any age. But going back to that child's brain now, a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old even, who says, Mommy, Daddy, I am terrified of the monsters under the bed and in the closet. What is the worst thing we can do for them?
Telling them there is no such thing, no monster, because you are not speaking the same language. So the child won't be reassured, and it's just terrible for him or her because he's really struggling with a big fear and not ready to understand that on your adult vision, everything is fine. So we have, in a way, to answer on the same level So maybe we should check in the closet, actually.
I love it. I love it. So, what does it mean that a child brain needs social experiences?
It means that, we are talking a lot about how important it is to stimulate our children. So a lot of people are playing a lot with them. They have a lot of activities. We see busy, busy, busy children everywhere. But the real thing about stimulation, it's interaction with other people. And that's the most important thing. And also, we have to understand that instead of doing, we should be. They need that. They need to feel us. The relationship we do have with our children is invisible, but they can tell if we're stressed, if we're not really here thinking about what we should do about this type of work or whatever. They can feel that. So we have to pay very attention to our internal state, because this is what is really shaping the relationship we do have with our children and the way they feel safe and secure with us.
So I'm thinking about the kitty cats that we have, and we have 2 rescue feral kitty cats here. So they're rescued outdoor cats. One of them in particular, very, very skittish, very nervous, because he was pounced a lot as a little kitty. And if he ever tried to eat, and if he wasn't watching his back, he could be in big trouble. If I don't monitor my internal energy, if I am bringing I'm speaking before hundreds of thousands of people right now, so my energy just blast out there. If I bring that blast around him, I will scare him to the moon.
Exactly. And we have to pay very attention to that. The interesting thing is that Dan Siegel explained that he discovered that the best predictor how a child turns is not what happened to a parent, but how the parent made sense of what happened to him or her. What it means, it's that even if you had trauma or whatever, the fact that you understand what this kind of experience happened in your life and you made sense about it, what you are going to share with your child is something very powerful. Because what we need to be as adults and parents is a strong person, but not strong like knowing answers to every problem, but being the person they can count on, because they do know that if ever something happened, we have the ability to connect, to ask for others to help, or to seek for the answer or whatever. And this is just, we have to be a full person. So we have to really think about that. Not, this is good for my child doing that or this or having a lot of activities. No, what is good for your child is being a parent who thrives. Before thinking about how your child can thrive, you have to think how you have to show him or her how you thrive.
Thank you. And that means we need to put the oxygen mask on ourselves first, because they are watching and attuned and feeling us.
Exactly. And that's the thing I often say is that, would you learn how to fly a plane with a teacher who tells you that, okay, the only thing I do know is how to put the autopilot on? No. And this is exactly what we're doing with our children. Okay, so the only thing I do know about the cockpit, about the brain, is how to put the autopilot on. And I can't teach you anything, better than that. No, we have to really learn how to fly, and then they can master their lives. Because freedom starts with understanding and understanding that you are the master of your life. So this is what we have to show them.
And so we have to, in a sense, be the rock in order to be able to teach them how to be a rock. And by that, I mean be emotionally grounded. And in fact, Dr. Siegel talks about the 4 S's: safe, seen, soothed, and secure. What can you tell us about that and secure attachment?
Secure attachment is very important. It's like the base. So attachment is, I think it was in the 50s, Bowlby was a psychiatrist, discovered that the relationship that we have with a child is different, has different impact. So we call it attachment. So if you do have an experience with your child and your child can predict what is going to happen with you, and he feels safe with you, and he feels soothed, and he's going to have the secure attachment. And how what we don't really realize pretty often is that what happened there, for example, will have a very, very important impact in your love life. Depending on the attachment that you had, you're going to find the right partner or not. If you're avoidant, you're going to have some trouble to find the right partner. And so everything that we are building there, it's our children vision of life and the way they will be able to attach to other people in their lives. So yes, the main thing is not being perfect. That's exactly what Alan Shore explained, that we can't be perfect all the time. We can't be yogis all the time and happy and wise and calm. We can react sometimes, but it's fine. As long as we show our children how we can go back from an agitated state to a calm state. And I think also something very important is being a parent of your word. So you have to keep your promises. It's so important. Our children just need that, to be confident that what they think can happen will happen.
Let's go from there then and talk about the new and improved Marshmallow Test.
Oh, I have heard about this test a long time ago, and I thought that, okay, this is very interesting. So the concept is a child is in the front of a marshmallow, and researcher tell them, okay, if you can wait, I'm going to bring a second marshmallow. And when they first made these experiences, they followed for, I don't know, 10, 20 years, the kids who were tested. And what they found is that the kids who were able to wait had better life outcomes. They were thinner, they were healthier, they were wealthier, everything was better in their lives. But we didn't know why some children were able to wait, why others could not. And Celeste Kidd, who is a very interesting researcher in a university, decided to create a new test, because when she was working with very poor kids, she thought that, okay, none of those kids would be able to wait for sure. So she
They'll
thought
take
it
the
was
one marshmallow over waiting for two any day.
Exactly. So she thought that it's such a pity. I don't want to imagine that this is a reality, and they are kind of condemned to be unsuccessful. Mm-hmm. So what she did is that before doing the test, the children had to experience two different type of relationship with the person they were with in the room. So one person was reliable, and they told them, okay, if you wait, I'm going to give you more pencils to do your drawing. If you wait, I'm going to bring more stickers for your drawing too. And one group had what they expect. So every time more pencils came, and every time more stickers came, and the other group was full. And the thing is, the last part of the experience was the marshmallow test.
So let me just, for 1 sec. So the second group was fooled. So they were told, hey, if you can wait, we've got this bunch of crayons for you. But if you can wait, I'm going to go out of the room and I'm going to come back. I'm going to bring you even more crayons if you can wait. And if they said yes, they would wait, the researcher goes out and comes back in and goes, oops, sorry, I can't bring you anymore.
Exactly. Disappointment. Every time. Consistent disappointment. So when the marshmallow test arrived, the kids from the first group with the person who was reliable, you know what? They were able to wait. While the kids from the other group, not reliable, were trying to wait, but their ability to wait was not that good. And before the researcher came with the other marshmallow, they had ate the first one. So it's not about the fact that they have better ability or not. They just realize that, okay, maybe it's wiser now to eat that marshmallow, because the other marshmallow will never, never happen.
It begets the question that's in their mind, or they're learning from this. Is the world a safe and secure place, or is it a dangerous and unreliable place where I better act on things now to take care of what I got?
That's exactly it. So we have to think what kind of experience we want to give our children. So if you don't keep your promises as a parent, okay, your child will be the second group type, and for a good reason, because you know that, okay, it won't happen. So I'm going to take what I have here around immediately, and I won't be able to wait. Doesn't make sense to wait. So it's a very good lesson, I think, and also not thinking that, okay, you are not able to wait, you are lost. No, you are not able to wait for a reason. So let's think about this reason, and we can fix it.
The key words, thank you so much for sharing on this, to me are for a reason. So if we fast forward, you talk about in the documentary, 5-year-old child having a tantrum. That was me. 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old. Let's keep fast forwarding for that. And in fact, my middle name, which I almost never use, it's Brett. And my mom would call me Michael Brat Sandler, which is why I took it out of everything, every step, but legally removing it. At some point, I probably will, because she saw me as having a tantrum, as being a spoiled brat. There's something wrong with you. I'm going to either beat it out of you, shame it out of you, or something out of you so that you are going to learn how to behave. I love my mom very dearly, but what's the challenge with that approach?
The thing is, it's carbs, obviously. So you still remember it.
Oh, yeah.
And but we don't, very often, we don't realize as parents that we are doing this kind of things. Also, we have to understand that behavior is communication. So when a child is behaving a certain way, we have to think why. Mm-hmm. And also, we have to think, where did this behavior come from? And I feel parents should, do a real introspection first. I'm giving you an example. A few weeks ago, I was in a restaurant, and my daughter, she's 3, she was playing with a child, a little boy. He was around 3, and suddenly, he just hit her. Things like that happened. So his mom came, took him, and spanked him. And I thought, oh, how this poor child can understand that he shouldn't be violent, because his mother's answer is violence. And I'm sure I was, in a way, not judging this woman, because I'm just sure she didn't realize she had no other tool, because she was told this way. Mm-hmm. But I just thought that the simple fact that you understand that this is not what you want, but it comes from you, will help to change your behavior, and then your children's behavior will change, obviously. So we really have to do our own, thinking about the way we act with our children, and maybe we would understand better. To come back to what you said, also, every family has kind of a red zone. In my family, it was in the morning. So every morning we were so late. We are still a bit late, but we're doing way better. So super, super late every morning. And I was saying, my son, you know what? How is that possible that you don't have your shoes on? I told you to put your shoes on 10 minutes ago. It's incredible. And every morning it was exactly the same thing, and I should have told them to wake up 10 minutes earlier. It would have solved the problem. But the thing was, at some point, my son told me, you know what, Mom? You know how I feel when you tell me that? And I told him, no, I feel crap. I feel like I'm a loser. So every morning before going to school, I was giving my son this feeling that he is a loser and he's not able to be on time. And I thought, oh, you know what? It remembers me my own childhood. When I was not able to be at the level of my parents' expectation, they told me my feeling was, I'm crap, I'm a loser, because they were super hard on me, telling me, this is not possible. And it was exactly what I was doing with my own son. But since he told me that, I changed. And I think we have to collaborate with our children, telling them that help me to identify the behavior I should change. Tell me when I'm hurting you, because sometimes you don't realize.
That's that's not just out of the paradigm or the box, that's revolutionary, to ask your kids guidance on how you can collaborate together.
I think, that's a big shift. It's been a big shift in my life because we're together in this relationship. We're not parents and they are not children. We are together. We are connected. And I feel also our children are our best teachers.
Yes.
I have two teachers. My daughter is freedom and my son is wisdom. And they're teaching me so much. I'm so grateful to have the chance to be surrounded by those inspiring souls.
Beautiful. So let's take this tantrum for one more moment. Then we're going to jump ahead, which is, and we probably also, my guess is that child who swung and hit your daughter, the same thing. When children act out, they're actually, chances are, in distress.
Yes, exactly. And very often we are embarrassed, but they need physical connection. So give them a hug. And it doesn't say, oh, it's fine what you've done. No, it's you need me now. You don't know how to behave. You need me now. And I'm here for you. And even if you don't behave the way I would like you to behave and the right way, I'm here for you. Woo-hoo. This is what we need. This is what we all need.
All of us, even us 30-year-old adults.
Yes.
So maybe you can tell us about Noel, the director of the Research UCLA Lab School, and learning through the body.
It was fascinating. So I learned about embodied cognition. So the fact that very often when you do understand something, first you do have the picture in your mind. So you do know the thing, but you don't really understand it yet. And then it's like it's going a bit down. It's going through the body, through your cells. And at some point, you really are able to explain it, to teach it, because you really understand it. You really own the thing. And what is happening is that when you go to the body first, when you go to the experience first, when you go to emotion first, you're going to be able to remember better, to understand better, to better understand, and to be more involved in what you are doing. So in that school, they decided to do an experiment. Instead of explaining the kids how bees were, living, they wanted kids to experience it. So they transformed them into little bees, and they did it with a very particular system, which is pretty complicated because they use motion control. But you don't need that. You can only use pretend play and you can have the same kind of results.
I like how they put them through like a hula hoop, which to me was actually NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. You're putting them through and they get a backpack with wings on, and they're going through their, what is it, a Biomatic 2000 or something, or their Shrinkerator, and then they're living the bee life.
Exactly. So they were able to see on the screen some flowers, and they had to take the nectar and take the nectar back to the hive, and they had to understand how bees have to do to live their lives. And this experience was very powerful because when I went to the classroom after that, I just discovered kids who were very, very compassionate, very empathetic. And now bees were not strangers that they were not interested in. It was like part of their lives. They were able to really, they wanted to do something for the bees. And, there is a school in Oslo also, and it's probably, what do you have after elementary school? What is the next one? High school?
Middle school.
Yeah, it's middle school. It's a middle school, and they are learning everything through pretend play. So, for example, history, they're going to do the real battle. They're going to wear a costume and they're going to experience it, because when you do that, you understand way better. It's a deep understanding. And emotion is so important. Emotion is also connected to memory. You do have very specific feeling about your childhood because it's connected to an emotion. So we have to understand that better, because if you are not interested, and if for you it doesn't mean anything, our brain need to feel that, okay, this is meaningful, so I'm going to focus on it and I'm going to think about it and I'm going to be able to memorize it. If there is no meaning, it won't work.
Well, it's the challenge, experiential learning versus, and I've railed against this, well, since I was a 6-year-old kid getting sent back to kindergarten and a 7-year-old kid getting sent back to first grade, because I wouldn't sit in my seat, because to me, the real learning takes place when I'm doing something, I'm building something, I'm creating something. Even if I'm failing at something, the doing and being in the action is what's teaching me.
Exactly. And, doing is so important. We need to do things. But also the thing is, we can't rely on somebody who's telling you what you should think, because very often a teacher is telling you, okay, it this way or no, but you have to own the answer. You have to own the thing. And you're right. We can't do everything, but at least instead of just having a teacher telling you what it is, we can find a way to involve children more in their learning.
And there's a key thing we're talking about here, really the perception action cycle, technical term, but part of that, it's learning by doing, learning from mistakes. But maybe the key critical piece is we have to figure a lot of this stuff out for itself. What is 1 + 1? Give me one widget, give me a second widget. Now I see that it's 2 widgets rather than something on a board that we've been told.
Exactly. If you don't understand why your mistake didn't work, you can't fix it. And pretty often you are told, no, it's not the right answer, but you don't know why. So instead of telling you what is the right answer, we have to tell children, and we have to tell people around us. If you are a manager or whatever, you have to tell them why it didn't work. When you start to walk, for example, as a child, and you just think, look around you, children are looking around them and thought that, okay, what happened? And I'm going to avoid that the next time. And that's exactly the same when they are in a classroom. You need to understand what happened and why it didn't work. And then you have to look for the answer. But if somebody is giving you the answer, you won't, have any interest because it doesn't come from you. Also, you are talking about Matthew Peterson, who created a very interesting program, a software. The name is ST Math. And the whole idea is learning math through this software without words, without any instruction. So when it doesn't work, for example, if you do 1 + 3 and you put 5 and it doesn't work, you're going to see on the screen why it doesn't work. And my son used to have this program in his school. And the year after, he changed school, and he was doing really good in math. And the year after, his teacher told me, you know what? He's really struggling with math. And I thought, really? How surprising is that? Then I looked up and I started to think, okay, let me see your exercise. Oh, I do understand. The real thing was, the sentences were so complicated, it was not able to really understand it. So the real problem was not math. The real problem was his reading. So instead of working on math, he should have to read more and more and more. So very often we are not doing the right diagnosis because we don't understand what is not working, I was so happy I had this experience because I was able to tell the teacher, you know what? Reading is the thing. Math, nothing to do with math. And if I was not able to understand, why it wasn't working, I couldn't fix the problem. So it's, yes.
Brilliant. So let's go from there. I'm so happy you had Carol Dweck in your documentary, and I want to talk about. We'll loop back to your childhood now, about the challenge of being told you're smart.
Okay, so Carol Dweck, who is a very famous psychiatrist, and she's working at Stanford. She's an amazing woman. She discovered that there are two types of mindsets: fixed mindsets and growth mindset. Fixed mindset is when you think that some people are gifted, some people have talent, and in a way they're going to succeed because of that. And growth mindset is thinking that you can achieve any goal as long as you work. No matter where you start, you can improve incredibly. So when you are told you're smart, you will develop a fixed mindset. And the real thing is that you do know that mind shapes the brain. So depending on your mindset, your brain is not working the same way. And when you do have a fixed mindset, researchers have found that your answer to mistakes is not the same. You will struggle way more when you are facing a failure, when you need, to correct a mistake. Why? It's because suddenly you just think that, oh no, I'm not clever enough to solve it at the very first time. And instead of thinking, okay, what can I do next? You are thinking about that and you are freaking out because you are not that clever. When you do have a growth mindset, you just think that, okay, it was the wrong answer. What's next? And on the long term, you will be able to achieve real great goals that you won't be able to do if you have a fixed mindset.
So if we're told we're smart, or if we're told we're athletic, if we're pigeonholed in any area, and we start to see cracks in the armor, then we go, what's wrong here? I thought I was X, Y, or Z, and you don't know what to do about it. If instead you're told you're really good at solving things, you're really great at learning how to do stuff, then when the challenge comes up, you don't go, well, I'm smart, I'm an athlete, or I'm pigeonholed, I'm not this or I'm not that. You go instead, ooh, I'm good at figuring out how in the world to learn or do this.
You're right. You can tell your child they do have skills, but also the real thing is having them understand that they can improve. So, for example, with my son, I was a fixed mindset person, so I did the same, and we started to correct it 4 years ago. So he was the kind of child, when something was starting to be difficult, he said that, no, I'm not interested anymore. It's not my thing, and no, I don't want to do that. No, I feel I'm too good at it or whatever. It's not interesting. And then I started to show him how he was able to improve. For example, when he started to play the piano, I told him 5 months after he was able to play 5 different pieces really well. And I told him, you remember 5 months ago? You didn't know anything, and now you are able to do that. So every time he's doing something, we just see where he started and where he is now. So valuing progress is so important. It's what they need, because whatever happened, they just feel like, okay, I'm struggling now, but I know it won't last. I know I'm going to be able to figure out. Maybe I'm crap today, but tomorrow I'm going to be able to succeed. And so you feel safe because you just feel like, I can do it. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I can do it. And this is the most important thing. Yes. And for me, as a child, for example, I was never embracing any challenge. And I do remember I was always the best student until I was probably 14 years old, because it started to become hard and I was not used to work at all. Everything was easy. So I was not doing anything and I was the best student in the classroom. I was so happy because for me, it was my fame, And when I started to understand that, okay, maybe I should work and I need to work to still be at the top, I decided, you know what, to sabotage myself. So from the top, I went to the bottom. It was easier to say that, well, I don't care, you know, and even being kind of the kid a bit with this revolution spirit, and but it was not true. It was just that I didn't know how to deal with it.
Well, that gets to emotions. And since we're talking about emotions and dealing with things, let's talk about mindfulness.
Mm-hmm. So I've always been so interested in mindfulness, especially with children, because you think that, okay, maybe it's an adult thing and it's complicated, and as adults we still have difficulties to stick to it every day. But I went to school where mindfulness is part of the curriculum. It's not even part of the curriculum, it's part of the hygiene. So in the morning, you arrive and actually everybody's breathing together. I do love the breathing concept, because mindfulness, you don't really know what you put in mindfulness. So let's say they were taught how to breathe. So in the morning, they were breathing all together. In their classroom, they were breathing before doing math or whatever. And whenever they feel they need something, they can do a brain break, and the brain break can be breathing. And all those kids in the school I went in Dallas, it's children from low-income families, so they have to deal with a lot of violence, and when you see them breathe, and when you talk to them and they tell you how it changed their lives, how they do know that maybe they're super agitated, maybe something is very painful, but they know that they have access to this powerful tool inside them, and they can change their reality, they can change the moment, they can change everything and feel good, and they own it. It gives them so much power, and also it's a real hope for them. So I feel doing that in schools is great. But what is important to understand, it's what Susan Kaiser Greenland told me, is that the important is not having class for kids. The important is teaching the staff, is working on the staff, because one more time, you need to model first. And kids, they will follow adults. So first, teachers and the whole staff has to be trained.
Beautiful. And on that note, it's so important for all of us, this connection. There really is no separation, brain, body, but we have forgotten, particularly when we're talking about education, we're talking about the brain, we forget about the body. This is really about gaining awareness and getting back into our bodies, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And the body is the brain.
Thank you.
You know, it's that's funny, because I talked about that with Marco Iacoboni, who is in the film, and he's the one, a neuroscientist, who is saying that we have to think differently how we teach kids, and we have to involve the body. Because yes, when I told him the brain, I showed my head, and he told me, what? No, the brain is everything. So also, when you start to seek on the research, what is very interesting, they've done that in Belgium. So they realized that through a breathing pattern, you were able to create a reaction of your body, an emotion. So depending on the way you breathe, you can feel suddenly sad or super happy. Or so through the body, we are changing the response of our brain. Also, what is pretty interesting, a good tip to give to children is that, okay, you feel discouraged, you feel that you're crap and everything is so difficult, change your posture. So instead of being like this, just do as if you were happy, do as if you had the new Lego you were waiting for, and you are tricking your brain. So you will suddenly feel happy. And it's a very good tip. But the only thing is that the idea is not avoiding emotion. And so use it when you need it in this instance, but accept being sad, accept feel any what we call not positive an emotion, even if everything is positive, it's just happening. But don't feel trapped with it.
Well, that's important. We get to teach our kids about their brains. We get to teach our kids about emotions without labeling this is good, this or bad, but helping them to get into their body, to get into their emotions, and to understand it.
Exactly. Because when you understand, you are able to change things, and when you just realize that it's normal, it's fine. And also for us, when they see that we do have strong emotions too, and we are able to explain that, okay, this is happening to me now, and I can help you with that because I'm dealing with my own thing. It's better sometimes to share it than being mean or. So yes, they just need to understand this is perfectly normal. My son is using that. He's smart. So he's telling me, ma'am, my brain is unfolded. That's it. I can do better than that. And okay, I'm just a child.
You're in trouble.
So yes, I'm really in trouble. But he knows, and he feels better because even if he's struggling, he knows that, okay, that's fine. It's normal.
So let's go from there to the importance of kicking back, laying idly on the floor, the default mode network, and resting and not doing.
Exactly. So when your child says, I'm bored, you should react and saying, that's a fantastic news. Your brain is so active right now. So we do know now that when we're not doing anything, when we're daydreaming, actually, our brains are very active, very, very active. The all connections are happening because you are really thinking deeply about things. And for kids, it's so important. And very often, what we do is that giving the iPad, a book, or a game, or trying to have them avoid this moment of nothing in a way, but they need it. And I remember when I arrived in the United States, I thought that, oh, it's fantastic because you do have moments to dedicate, not to do anything. What I'm saying is that I used to live in Paris. So in Paris, you go to school in the morning, but you are working everywhere. You are always busy. You have always to pay attention to things. You have always signal. And here, you are driving a lot. And driving for the children who are on the back seat is the perfect moment to get bored. Don't give them anything in the car. Just have them look at, the landscape, and that's the perfect time for them to get bored. And they really need that. So please stop to have busy children with music on Monday and karate on the Tuesday. No, let them do nothing. And they will find their inner peace and who they really are and their passion. If you don't have time to think about who you are, who will you be?
Amen. So you didn't go over this in the documentary, but I've got to ask then, it seems to me as a two-edged sword, smartphones and having technology on the kids all the time.
That's very funny because last time I was talking with some viewers after screening in France, and they were saying, oh, iPads and all those devices are so dangerous, and people have to know about it. And I told the lady, okay, I get it. But the real question is, why so many devices? Why kids are spending so much time? The real thing is the lack of relationship. We're becoming lazy. We're not anymore with people. We're not fully in the moment. We have also to think, what is your relationship with your phone? Your child What does he see? Are you always on it checking? Are you feeling that you miss something if your phone is not close to you? You know, what I very often do is that when my children are around, I put my phone in a place where I can't see it, and I'm not with it, and I don't care about what is happening in the rest of the world, because my children are here, so in a way I'm safe. Nothing will happen to them, and I don't need to be connected. No, I need to be connected to them.
Well, that's huge. That presence changes everything. If a child has presence, if they know you're paying attention to them, even for a minute or two, it changes everything, doesn't it?
Yes, it's quality time. A lot of people think that I have to spend a lot of time with my children. No, if it's not quality time, maybe it's not good. Maybe you should be somewhere else. So be with them, but be happy to be with them. It's not be with them, it's be happy to be with them. And if you need to be ready to be with them, and for example, you need to breathe for 20 minutes before going back home and really being with them, or you need to go to your box class or whatever, do something for you just to have the resources to be a good parent, to be happy to be with your children. It's not a duty. It's not a duty. It's a real, it should be full of joy all the time, and we have to work on that.
I love that. And this is something I talk with a lot of my coaching clients about, which is they are watching you. So if you think you need to sacrifice and martyr yourself to be with your children, you're not teaching them kindness and compassion to yourself. You're teaching them how to sacrifice and martyr themselves for others instead of taking care of themselves.
Exactly. You are so right. It's exactly it. So for me, the screens, and it's exactly that. It's a local babysitter. So I'm not against, but I feel like very often that's the easy way. I get bored. Okay, take your iPad. No, don't do that. And even if they are on you and they are mad at you, also we have to accept as parents not being loved for what we do. We have to not to parent in the moment. We have to think that, okay, if I do that now, what will be the outcome if I think about, when my child will be 20 or so. It's a big shift in your mind, not satisfying them immediately, but thinking about, okay, what is the real impact of this behavior?
Well, that also means if they trip and fall, allowing themselves to learn what happened and to improve from it rather than dusting it off and making it easier so that they don't trip and fall the next time.
Exactly. That's terrible, because when this is your experience as a child, you don't do anything. You're too scared. So it's not what we want. And also we have to tell them, because, sometimes you go to the park with your children. It's my experience, and my daughter is reckless. And so once I went to the park with her, and I didn't realize that she was playing like crazy and running everywhere and jumping. And I was like, woo, it's too much. And I thought that, okay, I have this feeling. I start to really be, I was sending her signals that you can't do it. You're not able to do it. And then I told her, you know what? I'm really, I don't feel good with what you do, but I can tell that you feel that you can do it. And even if you feel my fear, don't worry, it's not yours, it's mine. So yes, it's an interesting thing to talk with your children too.
You just earned some serious supermom points.
Yes.
So we get to wrap things up in just a few minutes, but I want to cover one or two more topics. I love your documentary. I love this topic. And I want to talk about one thing that I like geeking out on, because it has far-reaching ramifications far beyond what it is. Working memory, and how it actually, working on working memory, can help things like patience and resilience.
It's very interesting, because working memory is it's the short-term memory. It helps you to keep track of a conversation. It helps you to do well at math, because you are able to keep a number in your head. And it has what we call transfer effects. So when you have a strong powerful working memory. You will be able to focus more, to be more concentrate, and also you will be able to be more connected to other people. And so it's a very, very important skill. And that's pretty easy to get a better working memory. You can do plenty of games. I can teach you one very quickly. I love it. It's the poison rhythm. So you do a rhythm. I'm doing a rhythm. So if you hear again this rhythm, excellent. So if you hear it again, don't do it, okay?
Okay.
Good. You're good. So you can just play this game with your children, and it will have them work their working memory, yours too, and you'll see that if you are doing that, even for you, you're going to be able to achieve better plenty of tasks that you do every day on a daily basis. So yes, it has a huge impact on everything. It's exactly the same example I gave you about math. Instead of sometimes the real problem, is not that you are not concentrate. It's maybe because you have a poor working memory. So work on that, and then you're going to be able to witness very good outcomes.
Beautiful. Last big question, then we'll do a few quick wrap-up questions. Gratitude, altruism, and kids.
We can teach that. It's a skill. And we should take time to do it. It's very important. So you can have them think about what they're saying. You also, I feel that we're teaching our kids to brush their teeth. We're teaching our kids to take care of their body. But we're not teaching our kids how to choose their thought. We're not teaching them how to have a clean head inside. And this is so important. So the same way you can teach kindness, because you can just train them to be kind. In a classroom, you can do that. For example, very often in some schools, in the morning, you are talking about what you are feeling. So, okay, today I'm feeling good, or for this reason, today I was with my mom and we had a car accident before we arrived, so I'm kind of stressed. And if you are sharing that every morning, the relationship between children will change, and they will be able to, to really be with each other. So it's just skills, and we can teach it.
I love it. On that note, what one homework assignment would you give parents to begin helping their kids today?
Oh, so many. But maybe you should start by thinking about what is the behavior you really don't like about yourself as a parent. Mm-hmm. So when you explode, like, okay, when you don't know how to react, and think about it and try to figure how you would like to be, and picture it all the time. And at some point, you're going to be able to be that parent you want to be.
Woohoo! So we started this interview going to the breath. And continuously through the interview, I have my little beads here, and I'm focused on the breath. I say a little mantra, and I'm continuously going to the breath for presence, to honor you and be fully present with you. What's the next documentary you're working on?
The Incredible Power of the Breath. Yes, I'm very excited. And it's not only a documentary. I'm working also on an exhibit, because I want people to be able to experience it. So the whole idea of the documentary is explaining how breathing is a very powerful tool, and how it can heal ADHD, PTSD, asthma. Even crooked teeth shouldn't exist. It's a breathing problem. So
I'm
we
so
do
glad
have,
you mentioned that. I'm so glad. Buteyko method, Patrick McEwen. I don't know if you know of him.
of course I do. I work with them.
Tape at night is what Jessica and I
Yes.
geek out on, and with the athletes and people. Oh, yes, go.
Yes. So
And Patrick's
it's
awesome.
fascinating. Oh yes, he is. He's such a nice guy. Yes, and a very inspiring person. But yeah, it's the next thing, and I'm sure it will change the world. You know, I'm working also with a couple of psychiatrists, and they're going all over the world helping people with trauma. So they are teaching them how to breathe properly, and from Rwanda to other places where they had terrible circumstances like a tsunami or whatever, they are giving them this tool at no cost. You don't have to pay to breathe. So it's really how to empower people.
Woohoo! I love it. I love your work. I love this interview. Before we let people go, where can people go to find out more and to find your beautiful, brilliant documentary and how they can help too?
Yes. So they can go on the website, www.brainiousfilm.com. So you can watch the film online, or you can host a screening. So a lot of schools or communities are asking to host a screening. So it's a good way to gather your community, to have a post-discussion film and to share ideas. So do the way you want it. But the thing is that, yes, you can watch it first and decide if you want to host a screening after that. And also just give it as a gift to parents. I feel instead of bringing a bottle of wine, just offer them the link to the film. And you can make a real change. Because what is very interesting also is that education is the only topic everybody has an idea about it, if you're a parent or not. And very often in families, it's kind of a strong passion about this, and people do not agree. That's why I wanted to do a film not about education, but about science and what by instinct we thought were good. But now we do know that the science proves it's really good. So for people who are not really into that, just give them the film and they won't be able to say that, no, I don't think you should hug your child if he's having a tantrum.
So if you didn't catch that, come on over to brainiousfilm.com. If you didn't catch brainiousfilm.com, come on over to inspirenationshow.com. We'll get you over to brainiousfilm.com. I'm going to spell that out for people.
Yes.
BRAINIOUS film.com. That's because I spelt it wrong. And by spelling it wrong, I got it. I learned.
Exactly. I'm so happy, Michael.
So this has been phenomenal, Stephanie. Any last words you want to share with people?
No, it was a great time. Thank you so much for having me. It means a lot to me, and keep up the good work. You are doing a fantastic job inspiring people.
It so goes both ways. So for everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler saying, be well, have fun, get brainious, and begin building your child brain, and really your own, today. And shine bright. Woohoo!
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you so much, Stephanie.
No, thank you.
Beautiful.
I'm very happy. Thank you. And just continue what you do. It's great. You are a father already, right? You do have a child already.
No. This is our first. Here it is. So.
Oh, magnificent. Okay.
Thank you. So we're very excited, and we're going to put every single tool out of all of our, I guess, about 800 or so interviews. We're going to put all of our tools into play as a science and love experiment. We know, we're guessing it's a she. We've already have her name picked out. And whatever the universe brings us is great. We know she's our teacher, but we're going to bring to it everything we can to at least give her all that we can.
That's fantastic. But good luck. It's a real work.
I know. The real work is coming. I get it. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like below. Also, leave your comments. Have some real fun with it. subscribe to our channel where you're going to get more great videos, more interviews coming up. And check out our website, inspirenationshow.com. That's where you'll find tips, blogs, information, videos you won't find anywhere else, and useful and helpful resources to really help you kickstart your life and to shine bright. Thanks so much again. Thank you for your support. Like, comment, subscribe. See the website. Thanks so much and have fun. Of course, shine bright. Woohoo!